Good morning, guys. It's been another beast at work, so I haven't had as much time to prepare these videos as I would like, but I did want to lay more of a foundation. And if you'll bear with these, I think that if we get our thinking organized and we get our first principles in order before we dive into the real arguments for Christianity, we will have an easier time sorting through them later. So today I want to tell you about the laws of logic. The laws of logic. And you say, oh, laws of logic. And when I say laws, I mean laws. These things are every bit as solid or immutable as the law of gravity. I would say that they're more secure than the law of gravity. These things are impossible to deny, and they are the foundation for all thinking. So what are these laws of logic? There's three of them. The first one is called the law of identity. And the law of identity says something is identical to itself and different from other things. I know what you're thinking. Duh. Great insight there, Jake. But you probably use this tool more than you realize. What if somebody in your neighborhood asks, hey, what's that redheaded dude's name who preaches at your church? And then in your mind, you recognize that that redheaded guy is identical to Pastor McCammon. And then you answer their question. You're using the law of identity when you do that. Because when something is true about everything that's going on in that guy's description, red hair, preaches at my church, and you say, well, that has all the same properties, as a word to say that, but all the same descriptions as Pastor McCammon, then I know that that's the same guy. This is also the basis of the correspondence theory of truth. You'll remember my video from, a week or two ago about the correspondence theory of truth. I believe that this is the biblical view, and it's in contradistinction to relativism, which states the opposite, that truth is only ever in the eye of the beholder. We talked about what the truth maker is. Is the truth maker the thing itself, or am I the truth maker? The second law of logic is called the law of non-contradiction. And this says something cannot be one way and also in the opposite way at the same time and in the same way. You will be banking on the law of contradiction quite a bit in your apologetic efforts. Scott Oliphant teaches about a, quote, quicksand quotient. That every worldview except for Christianity will ultimately lead to self-contradiction. So when I say that the gospel is the governing truth of reality, as soon as somebody starts skating away from reality, they're really skating away from the gospel. And you'll see it, and we will talk about ways to recognize that. Here's a quick example of somebody who is guilty of the quicksand quotient. They'll say, you shouldn't force your beliefs on me. Well, can you spot the contradiction right there within their same sentence? Can you spot it? Pretty soon you'll be able to. But by saying this, they are actually forcing their beliefs on you. And then the final law is called the law of excluded middle. And it says that something is true or something is false, but it can't be both true and false. And I use this concept quite a bit too. Here's an example. I was discussing the pro-life position with a pro-choice guy. I told him I'm against abortion because it takes an innocent human life. Well, he responded that I was setting up a false dilemma. Jake, you're always so black and white. Well, I said law of excluded middle. Either the fetus is a human or the fetus is not. There's no middle category. and therefore I'm not guilty of a false dilemma unless he can show that I am. But that's the law of excluded middle. Now, I realize this sounds like a lot of highfalutin names for some pretty obvious ideas, but these are the foundation for any pursuit of truth, and it's well worth your while to be aware of them. And I call them laws advisedly. These things are so secure that you can't deny them without using them. Last thought. I remember years ago, I even debated the pastor at a Seventh-day Adventist church about whether or not the Sabbath is obligatory for Christians. But at one point, he says, Jake, you're trying to use reason for things that aren't in the realm of reason. You shouldn't use reason. And I said, can you tell me why you think that? And then he started saying, well, because blah, 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 blah. And he offered me 3 or 4 reasons why he thinks that you shouldn't use reason to answer these questions. So that's how powerful these laws are. You can't deny them without assuming them. So I write these 3 down. Write these 3 laws of logic down because we will be referring to them. Thanks, guys.